Yeah. Thank you. Mute your. Various aspects of response are covered. We'll be covering, such as there will be minimum standards of relief. How much relief? What will be the standard of relief? One of the things, management of relief commodities and services, because relief would be the most important thing along with rescue. So relief is part of rescue, or along with it, stakeholders coordination in response and recovery are covered in this course of this thing we'll be covering. So also it deals with human behavior and response in disaster situation. So this is what we are going to cover in our, and I think that my computer has become very slow. It is not responding. Never mind, I'll do something about it.
Hello, sir. Are we together?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just saying why this is not coming. Yeah, I think
I think he is trying to fix the technical problem.
there is some technical problem coming. Not to worry on that so much.
Okay.
We will,
Okay.
otherwise I'll
Yeah.
continue without that also. But let me see if I can fix it.
Okay, sir.
No.
Restarting. So yeah. Some technical problem coming, but not to. Okay. So now you can see it.
Not yet from my side.
No.
Okay. Some error has occurred sharing screen. So we'll try again. Otherwise, I'll reconnect because all my. Yeah.
I can
Okay.
see it now.
Now it's come. Yeah, I can make out. Okay. So we were covering, it covers basically when you talk of response. So response always is after the disaster, and response is at when the disaster strikes. So when do you come to know about a disaster, that the disaster is coming? How do you come to know? Can you know before the disaster that the disaster is coming? Anybody? Yes or no? Or you
You
can
can know for most of the disasters, sir.
for the most of the disasters you can or you can't.
You can know.
You can.
Meteorologists can
Okay. Yeah, you
think
can
of
come to
weather,
know. Yes.
history also
Yeah.
can
So
guide you.
yeah, you have, we had covered earlier slow moving, slow and quick impact disasters. Like earthquake is a quick impact, whereas flood is a slow. That means it takes time to develop. So no, some disasters it is easy to forecast, like floods and droughts. Droughts may take months and years, so you can forecast because they come slowly. Uh, Man-made disasters is difficult to forecast, but earthquake you don't get any reaction time. But floods you can get because it builds up. Generally, it will build up. Or cyclones, storms, sea storms, or they are building up. So 2 days, 3 days warning, 4 days warning, you can come. And of course, with time, say 4 days earlier, you get a warning that a cyclone is building up in the sea somewhere. But where it is going to strike, you'll know general area. And as the time passes, it becomes more and more accurate where it is coming. So you have so once the early warning is given, let us say, because that is early warning. So then your response plan can be implemented, isn't it? So if you have a warning, if you come to know, so then you trigger, the response is triggered. So in the preparedness phase, you have make a disaster plan. You are doing planning in the preparedness phase, isn't it? You would have covered that also, what all is done in all these phases. Generally, we can divide them into six, or you can divide into two: pre-disaster, post-disaster phases. Then pre-disaster, you can subdivide into three, you know, mitigation, prevention, preparedness. And in post-disaster, again, three: rescue and response is the first, immediately after or when you come to know that the disaster is imminent, it is going to happen. And then comes the uh, rehabilitation, all those people who have been, so it will start after sometimes many few days, many days, even month more, but they will merge into each other. Then let's say the response activities are reducing and the rehabilitation activities are increasing. And then over the period, it will be into reconstruction because all the damages that have gone into. So that reconstruction, you can say, would merge into development, normal development of that area, isn't it? See, always the development, the government is trying, everybody is trying to carry on development. So your disaster management has also to be integrated with the developmental phase. So we are going to see various things. Now, what all we are covering? So if you see, there are 15 units in disaster response. So first is disaster response plan. Uh, so this we are taking over from the preparedness. Planning would be detailed planning would be done. Risk assessment. I think you would have covered in MPA 3, vulnerability analysis. All this would have been done earlier. in the preparedness phase. Although in MPA3 you would have done on the preparedness, risk and vulnerability analysis. So that is part of the preparedness, because based on that you would have made a disaster plan of that area. So we will see what the plan has been made. Then we will see logistics management, need and damage assessment. Yeah. So after a disaster has struck, so earlier you are making a risk assessment and vulnerability assessment. Assessment is there, but now you are assessing really how much damage has been done and what is the needs, the requirement in the response for relief. How much, what is the requirement for the actually, because it will always change. See, you have planned for particular type of disaster or particular magnitude of disaster. It's not necessary it's the same magnitude what you have planned for, or you may even in your plan you may put it for different levels of disaster, different types that you will do from your risk and vulnerability. What type of risk is there? A flood risk, earthquake risk, and other whatever disasters are there, you will be doing that. Then disaster response need and damage assessment is done. There's a rapid damage assessment done immediately after disaster. The needs are made out, then plan further it is done. So now also you will see what is the response of the government machinery. So in India, we have a response at the central, that is the national level. Then the states we have below the within the country. So what level districts are there, and the local administration. So other. Then also armed forces invariably, because of their trained manpower which is available to them, with resources available to them, and being a government organization, so they are also called into to help the civil administration, because this disasters, as you know, they overwhelm. They are of a magnitude which is very high, uh, and the local response is response is required much more than what the resources are available. So you can uh, have the others from outside. Armed forces are the first one to come. In fact, invariably in all countries, armed forces, when it is beyond the uh, government, that is the central, state, district, and local administration, then armed forces. Then disaster response by police and other forces. See, police is also a force which is required, and they have a lot of role in every activity to control the people, to provide security, provide control, provide direction. So a lot of this. So we'll see that also in unit number 7. Then role of multiple stakeholders in disaster response. So various others who are there, what is their role? Say non-government organizations are there, international organizations are there. What is their role also? So you would have heard of all these coming. Then another interesting thing is psychological response. See, like medical response would be part of it, then psychological also, because people get affected even by disasters psychologically also. So about how to deal with that. Trauma and stress is a major outcome of any catastrophe, any major event which is happening, which has destroyed the communities. So there's trauma and stress, so that also. Then rumor and panic management, because panic sets in, rumors come. Then another very important, interesting and important thing to understand, minimum standards of relief. Do you give relief whatever you get? Would you give that? What is the standard of relief? Means food item would be anything or as per the need assessment. And as per with or clothes or shelter, whatever you are giving or available, at least you should know what are the standards. I know it's very difficult to have good quality food or good quality of water, good quality of clothing, proper, but at least you must know and try to have maintain good standards. So minimum standards in relief is very important. In fact, these have been laid down um, by there's a sphere project which had done laid down all these things into these categories. Then see, it also lays down, let's say, how much vaccination is required. If there's vaccination, if the population is, say, 10,000 people are there and they need to be vaccinated. So, how many vaccines are required? For 10,000 people, would you require 10,000 vaccines? Would you require 8,000 vaccines? Less than that? Or would you require more? Can you think on these lines also? Isn't it? So generally, all these things are required more. You keep little safety margins. Some will be destroyed. Some will get so like that also. So it is laid down in these minimum standards. Managing relief distribution, how to do that is a very important aspect of response. It creates a lot of problems. Otherwise, it may not reach the required people. Then funding relief. How do you get funds? Where do the funds come? How do you manage them? So they are, and then recovery. So recovery starts in the post-disaster response. So this is so now you have understood this. So let us have a look on the first one, disaster response plan. Anybody has any questions in this so far? Yeah.
Yes, sir. It is clear, but me, I'm not seeing the slide, but it's okay. We can
No,
go
no,
ahead.
I've switched that off. I want to show something else. Yeah, I'll show another one. I'm changing it. Yeah, you tell me what's your
Oh,
any question you want to ask?
no, from my side, it is clear.
Okay, good. So no, I'm just covering a preliminary that what all it is, and we are covering in response. So these are what is response. So you would now get a good idea of what all response is covering. That's what my aim was by talking to you on all these aspects. So yeah. Now the first unit that we are covering was disaster response plans. So this unit is covering why we need these response plans. Response plans at central level, then cabinet committee is there. Now we are covering how it is done in India, isn't it? So because this course has been syllabus has been made based on the all the things taken what is happening here, and this would give you a very good idea how to do it because similar things are happening most of the places. So state level cabinet committees there in the national level, then state level response plans, district response plans, coordination with other agencies, block level response plan. Block is sub district, a district is divided into blocks, and role of other agencies uh, in the response plan, coordinating among the response. So, why we need a response plan? We had covered it earlier. In fact, you only one of you had brought it out that in a plan is there, so that is implemented here, and it is a response plan that we'll have. So, so when the disaster is imminent, we set the response plan activate the response plan. And so we are able to respond pre, during, and post disaster. So our response uh, plans would be, so whatever we plan, that is what we implement. Of course, we have to keep changing the plan as per the situation, but then we have the basic things available. See, you may have planned for a very severe flood, but the floods are less, so it doesn't make a difference. At least you have planned for the, you will always plan for the maximum, and also then think of the various stages that are there. So in the pre uh, disaster response activities, so these are done pre-disaster is actually before the disaster actually strikes. That is when you get the warning immediately, and information is there that the disaster is going to come. So what do? You can set up the control room. You can evacuate people so that the damage done by disasters is reduced. So during disasters, you ensure that the needs and provisions of victims are met and their sufferings are reduced as much as you can to the minimum. And what is post disaster? See, during disaster means when the the floods are still going on, people are still have to be evacuated and all that. So post disaster is when the situation has stabilized a little bit. That means after a few days, you have evacuated the people are there now. You don't anticipate more people or more injuries and loss of life or property. So uh, so now you want to, all those who are already uh, become the victims, so how to help them, how to reduce. So basically, so that they post disaster they can go for recovery, recover from the, recover from what? Recover from the disasters, from what they have suffered. So now the response plan, the response is a very crucial for aspect of disaster management, isn't it? Actually, if you see, everything you are doing is either to reduce the disaster, that is prevention. If you can prevent a disaster by itself, that is the best thing. So you can prevent also, like floods can be prevented or by various measures. We had covered these also earlier in the, I think, unit 1 and 2 on the, one was on natural disasters. So each of the disasters was covered. Natural disaster in uh, MPA 1 course, and MPA 2 was natural disasters. Man-made disasters was MPA 2. So there you had covered on that. So there are do's and don'ts, so many things which are there. So they would have done, and all this would be done in the earlier preparedness or the planning for each of them. So in all these, there's an example of Gujarat earthquake of 26 January 2001. So what happened? Actually, you should read this and understand, because uh, there are a few disasters in India which have been covered. Most of the places in various courses are from MPA 1 to 7, uh, which gives an example. So these are case studies. So here you can have the response case also. So preparedness also, and then recovery, and all these are there. So one of them, which is covered very well, is earthquake. There are two earthquakes which are covered. One is Gujarat earthquake and one is Maharashtra earthquake, Latur. This is also called Bhuj, BHUJ earthquake, Bhuj earthquake of 2001. And earlier was Latur, much earlier. Then floods are covered. There are Gorakhpur floods which were covered and some other small, but floods you will be knowing much better. Cyclone is covered, so Orissa super cyclone. So you please note these dates and names and places and try to correlate on a map. You will understand much better these ones because these will come in various form of your all the other courses. Then um in man-made disasters, the Bhopal gas tragedy or Bhopal gas leak has been covered in quite a detail, so that can be there. Of course, there are so all disasters have been covered, but these are very major ones. So you should have the facts about these. Now, now response has been mostly immediate always, and has been to provide uh, material immediately, rescue immediately. There are teams which have been coming immediately. Now, in India, the administrative layer is at three levels, that is center, state, and district, and the block and village level also. But the government machinery is at these three places, villages and the block. So it is divided into these phases. So some very small countries, they may not be able to divide it because there will be one response only at the government level. So because all of them, so India being a huge country, there could be multiple disasters at the same time, you know. So the states in India, the states are actually this subject is covered by the states. Now, what the plan will include for relief, rehabilitation, reconstruction by separate agency. So uh, eh, now planning at the central level. Now there is a lot of actually what has been given here. So you should, because exams will only cover from what is here uh, in your this syllabus or in this book learning material. But understanding by examples from other places will also increase your understanding much more. Now, at the central level, we have a nodal ministry. For ministry, you understand the government departments. Their minister, each ministry is headed by a minister who's a elected from the elected party which forms the government. So I think again some problem has happened. Sharing has stopped. Uh, let me check up. Yeah. So we have different ministries which are uh, so in overall coordination in India is done by Ministry of Home Affairs, Home Ministry, Interior Ministry, whatever. So Home Ministry does the coordination of all the disasters, overall coordination. But for individual disasters, like say air accident, it is civil aviation, and civil strife or things like civil riots. So these comes under Home Ministry, and it made major breakdown of essential services is by the concerned ministry. Drought disaster is by coordinated by Ministry of Agriculture. Railway accidents by railway. Chemical disasters are by Ministry of Environment and Forest. Biological disasters by Ministry of Health. Nu- Nuclear accidents, Department of Atomic Energy. And then if there's no other ministry laid down, then it is by Ministry of Home Affairs. So you should know this also, these ministries which are covering the disasters, and you can get a question on this also, because these questions, if they are multiple choice type, so it could be that, okay, chemical disasters by which ministry, or so. Now, response at central level, actually, they will decide how much relief is to be given. So, so first thing they do is a policy response sent at the national level. That means it is the intention of the government, uh, this which is reflected in the policy, which gives lays down the administrative efforts that are required. So, national government implement large scale disaster response. So they will, the Prime Minister, Cabinet Committee, Home Minister, they provide the policy response to the disaster. And Home Ministry is the key functionary in this. So second is the administrative response. So first is the policy response, that according to the policy response, the scope of administrative response is laid down. It is basically implementing. Administrative response means implementing. Policy response would say the government's direction, what they want, how they do. Administrative means the how the government is going to respond, implement this. So for this, they have to have a lot of information related to calamity and make an assessment. So they will also know the constraints of the states, and the states would ask also request for central assistance. So an assessment is done on that also. So administrative response is operational requirements and provision of central assistance as per the policy. So this could be the primary relief functions and secondary relief functions. So, and this will depend on the intensity of the disaster. How much has the disaster, how severe has the disaster been? Now, also, it will depend, it will be on the uh, uh, capacity of the state government, how much capability they have, whatever is existing, and their requirements. And in India, there is a calamity relief fund. So this fund is the main source of funding for disaster relief and rehabilitation. Uh, this fund is given every year to the states. So you must know this also about calamity relief fund. So money is utilized from this fund. If its shortfall is there, then it can be again they'll go to the national government and they can reallocate more money also. So you can see this diagram. This shows uh, administrative machinery. So if you see on top, there is a cabinet committee for with the prime minister chairing it. So then there is a secretary of MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, and Central Relief Commissioner and Natural Disaster Management Division. There's a division also in the Ministry of Home Affairs under that. So it is there, they are functioning, everything at the national level. Along with it, the highest uh, government official is the cabinet secretary. So he is also involved and the secretary to the Prime Minister is also involved. And otherwise, it's all other departments like the Indian Meteorological Department, Central Water Commission. All these give the warning, early warning. They give the damage assessment. So various central ministries are there. They are all part of this aspect of yeah. And now all these have are above the. Then there are the states. Now there are various committees or groups at the government level. So you have the cabinet committee. Uh, Cabinet committee is there, which is reports to the cabinet secretary. Then there is National Crisis Management Committee. So, this is again under the chairmanship of the cabinet secretary. There is a crisis management group, which is under the chairmanship of Central Relief Commissioner. You can see there is a difference. The cabinet secretary is a very senior officer, and Central Relief Commissioner would be under them. Then crisis management group, what are its functions? They review every year the contingency plans formulated by central ministries and departments. And yeah. Then review the measures required. So these plans are at the national level. They review the plans at there's relief commissioner and the disaster management division, whose the functions as the nodal officer to coordinate all the relief for natural calamities. He's the and they operate, and um, there's a emergency operations center EOC control room, which is set up at the uh, disaster management division. Under that, this is also there existing. So this is a very important. This is the nerve center. All information is available here. And relief commissioner receives the information for forecasting and warning from the concerned department. Basically, most of the natural disasters is IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, or for the geologically related and others, and weather related is from IMD, and for the floods, basically water it's from Central Water Commission. So both of them are important for giving warning. They'll keep giving. Now, what's a control room? That's the nerve center of all emergencies, and it is well equipped and located very centrally, generally in the national capital. So it is functioning throughout night and day. There's a duty system. So it has a lot of responsibilities as the name ends. Now, what is the finance resources? We had covered CRF, that is Calamity Relief Fund. So you must be aware of all these abbreviations and terminologies, because these are very likely questions in the exam. So CRF is there to provide immediate relief or activities to the victims of natural disasters. Um, you have understand about CRF also. All these are, I'll quickly cover now. State response plans. In India, the primary responsibility of disaster management is with the state. See, we have a federal structure and states have some sort of autonomy. So, under that, the law and order is a state subject under the constitution, and disaster management also is primarily responsibility of the state. And the center will, uh, respond when it is required. That means the disaster is of greater capacity than the states can handle, or it's very severe. So they states also they act like a similarly as in the center. They will also have a control room. They will also have their policies. They'll also have their plans. They'll also have budgets and funding. So all these. So there's a state relief commissioner who's in charge of all the relief measures. So if you see this, this is the state. Uh, how the communications are there. The relief commissioner and the chief secretary of the state. There's a disaster management committee and then the district level coordination committee, district disaster coordination committees. So there's a state crisis management group. So under the chairmanship of the relief commissioner or chief secretary. So different states will have slightly different, but generally it is followed like this. Then there's a control room, also at the state level, and financial. So the states also contribute to the CRF, that is Calamity Relief Fund. So they have say 25% or 50% of the money. So there's also Chief Minister's Relief Fund. Like this at the center, there's Prime Minister's Relief Fund. Then there is at the disaster response plan at the district level. Now this is more implementable. So this was response of the plan at district level, and it is the point of public service delivery and responsible for directing, supervising, and monitoring relief measures for disasters. Now, this is basically which is monitoring and supervising and directing the relief measure. So, the head of the district is a collector or deputy commissioner in India, and they make a disaster management plan at the district level, and district relief committee is there and a district control room. Now they coordinate with the other agencies. So at the district level, the resources are the police under them, the fire brigade, the medical. So all these are within the district which are there. They are all resources available. And then they do close liaison with the central government authorities in the district. Like, what are the central government authorities in a district? Let's say the army, defense forces which are located there, or central paramilitary forces, or other organizations like railways and others whose help they can take. They also have resources. Ministry of Water Resources, irrigation departments are there. So there. Then coordination will voluntarily help and also is there. So non-government organizations are there. They are also very important. Now, this plan will also have list of implementing agencies. and how to communicate with them with the district administration. Block level, that is below the district level. So this is also come up. So there is block level district management plan. It is called in block or taluka in India. So they will have representative nodal officers of the line department and administrative offices. Now, very important is the village level plans. So village level planning has to be done. So these are hazard specific, and these are by committees which are formed within the village. So this is basically a community based approach then when they have the village level plans. So now it is quite well developed, although here it is saying that it started after the super cyclone of Orissa in 1998 and the earthquake of Gujarat in 2001. And now what are the other agencies? And they are also in their response plan, they are also coordinated within that. One is international agencies. So internationally, the UN had a UN disaster management team. Then there are other Office of the United Nations Disaster Relief Coordinator, United Nations Development Program, Food and Agriculture Organization, then World Food Program, World Health Organization, UNHCR, UNESCO, and UNICEF. Then voluntary sectors and NGOs also have a very important role. So basically the task is to take it to the ground, grassroots level, to the people. Then community-based organizations also, similar to the NGOs, they are a community-based organization. So who are actually they are from the community only, that area, so they immediately respond. They are also trained. Emergency supplies are crucial and they are required. So they come there. So what does various agencies do? Let's say the district authorities, they will be responsible for evacuation, food. There's a public distribution system in existence in India for food, so which is there for the people who are marginalized and other who can't afford. So for them, this is there. Then water and sanitation, monetary compensation, medical aid, and construction material. This is all the responsibility of district authority. If the defense forces are there, they would have the responsibility of evacuation of the people, airdropping of food in inaccessible areas, and rescue also. International aid agencies, they provide medical aid, food supplies, tents, other material. NGOs and community-based organizations, they will provide food, utensils, clothes, water and sanitation, medicine, things like that. They will provide in a limited manner. Now, this unit, some of the important things we have covered. Now, so we have to see 4 important things: development, effective response plans, and consequently activities help save lives, reduce it. So what does this response plan that we covered? They save lives, reduce injuries, limit property damage, and minimize all sorts of disruptions that disasters cause. The theoretical approach now has moved from a functional view of disasters to one that recognizes significant influence of social norms and public perceptions and exceptions or expectations on the occurrence effect of and recovery from disaster. Socio-economic differences are now recognized to play a large role in determining whether and how people get ready for disasters and react once they have occurred. And the myth of human dysfunctioning in the immediate emergency period after disaster are dispelled. Because humans react. In fact, that has been found. Response of people has been characterized by altruism, enhanced sense of community, helpfulness, resourcefulness, and extraordinary resilience. So people have become quite their response. They get involved. They are doing a lot. Also, they can do. In fact, a lot of good things or a lot of good examples come out in disaster. Now, some key concepts, we go through them. We have covered these Cabinet Committee, Finance Commission, right? So this would be one of the important aspects for us. Now, so this was the unit 1. And any questions you want to ask so far? Yeah. Anybody? Okay. So no,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. Please come, Tomba.
Yeah. I think we are moving on well. Most of these things are repeated. I hoped. I think on my side, we are getting the concept clearly. It's okay. We can move
Okay.
on.
Okay, good. Because see, these terms I have been saying, I'm repeating again and again that because you will be having multiple choice question, that means something will be given, choices will be A, B, C, D. Then you have to select one of them. So in that you will have these terms, all these names which are coming, dates which are there. So they will be important. The facts which are written, whether it is true or false. So that sort of a thing you will have to understand. So please read through it in that manner. Uh, from the exam point of view, what I want to cover with you. Okay, in unit 2, we are going to cover communication, participation, and activities of emergency plan. So we can have a short break and then we'll continue. Okay, just have a break. I'll come. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks. Samuel, kita dugule saba. Kumon kalas jain. Min gibel. Kumon gomze saka. 40 minutes. Kan zare umon diga gari dina. Ay 1 hour ligo monene. Yeah.
Yeah, should we start? Yep. All those of you who
Yeah,
are here now, yeah, thank you.
yeah,
I
yes,
want
yes.
to,
Start.
okay, good. Yeah, thank you. So I want to again cover with you that the uh, whatever your exam will be of multiple choice questions, it will be 50 questions of 50 marks, and 90 minutes will be given to you for doing that. So you have to just select A, B, C, D, one of them out of them. So they will be given. So it could also be like, say, um, I will give an example here also when we are coming, something which comes to my mind. I'll tell you because I think last year also there was a batch of your E Vidya Bharati, the first batch of 2021. So you can see if their question papers are available, and you will get an idea of that also. Because I don't have those question paper, but if I get, I can share it with you. Uh, so I will, but that is another thing. Okay. See, aim should be you must finish this course in time. If you request for extension of time, you will get, I think so, because we are very, very helpful towards students' needs. But the thing is, it will delay your further thing unnecessarily. So you don't wait for anything. You start doing. The earlier you do, you will. It will be helpful to you. Okay. So good. Okay. Now we'll cover Unit 2, uh, communication, participation, and activation of emergency plans. Now,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
ah,
Yes,
okay.
Victor.
Yeah. What do
Hello.
you want? Yeah. Yeah. Tell me.
Yeah, I just wanted to have only one comment that came in my mind on the issue of exam. I think from my own perspective, the exam is it will be good, but also it will require us to to organize ourselves so that we will realize a good result at the end. And with this, what I would like to request you, since you say the exam definitely it may be in June, and the with the context of Africa, issues of network, issues of work, there are colleagues that are working, and my only appeal is that the communication need to be met earlier so that those that are very far, like for some of us, a bit far away from the capital city, we can move to a nearby location where we think this one can be good, so that it will give us a good time to organize and also prepare for the exam.
I agree with you. Yes. But what you have to do for this? Yeah. What do you have to do? I've been
Yeah,
telling you again and again.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, from my case, I know I'm sure that the exam will
No,
be in
what you
June.
have to do, you must send an email related to this, and on your LMS, you must request put up this request. So this request has to go by email to the coordinator. For you, everything should go to the coordinator. That will help you.
Oh, yeah,
Hmm?
I think that one is the most important one. So,
Yeah, so you send it to them. Have you sent this?
oh,
You are not. See, problem is you are only talking it with me here, or that meeting which took place. Some of you spoke of the points there, but I find that if you would have given an email on this, it would have helped,
Yeah, for sure, sir.
isn't it? So you please, and maximum of you who give this email, if you give it directly on that, you have got the email which you get from the IGNU. On that only you email address you can give it. That will be of great help. So
Yeah, I really agree with you. I think I will do so.
yeah, please, because anything these are administrative and other things. It is beyond me as such individual or anybody. So it is to be, if you send it, it will be formally, that will be forwarded to the concerned officials in the university, and who will take a decision on it. So now, how you do it, it will be very important,
Yeah, for
for you
sure.
to take. Yeah. So I think again we are having some problem with the sharing of the screen. So today has been a, yeah, I think, oh no. Let me see this unit 2. Uh, yeah, it's not coming on the screen. Okay. So basically, unit 2 is communication, participation, and activation of emergency plans. Now, these are all required in response. Communication is required, participation required, and emergency plans activation. So, communication, you will understand the techniques of communication and formal and informal communication. This is generally in any management, this. So, what is the problem in effective communication? Another thing which is again general. It is for all, not only disaster situations, but otherwise also. Now, this participation, it is specific to disasters or response. What is community? How participation? International and national donor agencies, they are participating, civil society organizations, and the media. So, civil society organization actually is a very broad term, but generally we mean anything which is not governmental. So, it could be non governmental also, but also something which is not in the disaster management chain, but other places like your market association in a village, in a town, there are markets, and markets have association, so they also contribute a lot, they also participate, they are affected party. Or there are institutions, say universities are there, so how will they, if they want to help, come, or schools and colleges if they want to, or their organizations are there. So all these can contribute in small way, at least. Then how do they participate? There are techniques. There's rural participatory rural appraisal. Then problems in participation, activation of emergency plans. Now, trigger plans have a trigger mechanism. That means what will be, how the plan will be activated. You will start the plan into operation. So this has to be some point, something which is laid down that if this thing happens, this will be the trigger thing. So it will trigger it. Trigger means it's like a gun. There's a trigger, you pull the gun, it fires. So you this trigger, the plan is activated immediately. Standing operating procedures are there for various things, do's and don'ts, and many other things. Then I'm setting up of an emergency operations center. That is a control room where everything is there. And then supply and management system, SUMA. This is a, actually there's a SUMA software also, very long time back also it was developed by the UN systems. So Now, so response plans are at various levels. Firstly, it's not one response plan only. So everybody at his level is activating it when required. It may be different times. Immediately, the lowest level community will immediately respond. Then the message goes to the district. So they will respond, they will activate. Then state it will come whether they want to activate or this is required or they feel that can be done. It's not a much of a disaster which can be done at the district level only, or they require intervention. Or it may be even much more scale, bigger scale, and they will ask the national authorities and national to activate for help from there. So all these will be also required. Now, what do you understand by communication? You know, so okay. I'm still having some problem in sharing. Mhm. Actually, it is not coming up here. I don't know. Today it is. I will not able to manage it, isn't it? No, it's not coming. I thought it would be nice if it can come, but it's not. Should I think I'll restart it. Maybe it will. So we always have some problem or the other with this. I don't think so. Okay. So now
We
let us.
can, I think, let me suggest something.
Yeah. Tell me.
Yeah, we can go manually as you solve the issue, while on our side we need to be quite a bit attentive so that we will be able to capture some of
What do you want to do?
notifications. What I'm
At your
saying, what I'm saying is that we need to be a bit quite attentive as you go manually, because I
okay,
can see
I'm
that
going. Yeah, I'll go
you are
without
having
it.
some
But
challenges.
you can also open
Yeah.
your in on your screen if you want. The unit 2 you have got. Okay, I'm coming from that. But yeah, so communication. Let us understand these. There are three aspects we are talking about in this unit: is communication, participation, and activation. So communication is generally what is you understand by communication in management also. It is covered, but otherwise, so we are having all technology also being used for communication, and it is improving day by day. So there are softwares, there are other things, satellite communication is there, everything can be used. Yeah, right from telephone to mobile phones now, satellite communication, and things like that. So also some procedures have also been established by various governments for natural hazards. Special communication also can be used. There are networks, communication networks available. They can be used. And yeah, understanding the technique of communication. So what is communication? It's a two-way communication process is there. So there is a model of communication. There is a sender, the channel through which it goes. There's a receiver who receives it, and then you get a feedback. In between, there is a noise. So noise means something which garbles the communication. So two-way communication process. It's a process which you understand how theoretically how communication takes place. Then there is upward and downward communication. So let's say from control room at center, there is a communication to control room at state, then from there to district, and also up. This was downward. Now upward was the information which is flowing from district to state to center. So this is one example. Then there is lateral communication. So lateral, it's a flat communication. So here the speed is very fast and accuracy is much more, but they still can be. Then formal and informal communication. So formal is using formal established channels. So like uh, central relief commissioner to state relief commissioners on particular matter, they'll use the formal channels. Informal refers to more spontaneous communication that occurs without regard for formal channels. So unanticipated nature of disaster requires appropriate support to the process. So what are the problems in effective communication or barriers to communication? So one is that there are hardware and software. So people may not be having proper understanding of the hardware. People come at the last moment and then they may not understand. So, or let's say at a village level, people may not understand how to use the internet and other things and the mail accessing it. So this also is a problem. Then language of communication is sometimes it's that also can be confusing. So technical or official jargon the people at grassroots level may not understand. Ideological barriers are there or cultural practices would be there. Because during disasters, human emotions are extreme. So these could also be there. Now, another thing is lack of will or desire to communicate. So that is another problem that will be also coming up with them. Yeah, yeah. Adama Usman, you want to ask something?
Yes, Dr. Connell, I just want to ask question.
Yeah,
That
ask.
that is me in respect of this communication. There should be a technical committee that will look into various languages available within the community and translate the information in their own languages that they will understand. Is that
Very good.
necessary, sir?
Yes. See,
Thank you, sir.
when we are talking of the pre-disaster preparedness stage, so at that stage you will be doing all these activities, understanding what type of communication, how to improve that, how to put it in the plan, then who will do it, then linking one plan with the other. There may be a organization for communication. They will provide these sets, and we'll come to it also later on. Sometimes some other inform these organizations which are there. Like one example is ham radios. Have you heard of, anybody has heard of ham radios? It's a very old worldwide network of amateur radios. These days it is not much required because of email and internet, but these are very old systems of almost 50 years back or even more. People as a hobby were keeping ham radios. That was called ham. And radios mean radio sets. They were having different types, so they were networking all over the world, connecting with each other as a hobby. So that was also being used in disasters. So now there are many methods. So definitely, but now we are in the response stage. This course is of response. So at this stage, you will not be making new communication things or coming in. You have to do it earlier. Definitely, it's a very important thing. That is what is preparedness. So when we are talking of detail, we'll talk of preparedness sometime. So in that, we will cover all these activities which have to be done earlier before disaster. It's called peace time. So this is now action time. Here, whatever you have to come and do the best because people are already affected. So size and distance also affects communication process. So this distortion in messages. So at various from center to the states, districts, and village and down to the, so they have to be very, very accurate. You can duplicate communication. So rehearsals, practice, all these things which are carried out in preparedness, that will help in whatever you are saying. Coordination meetings will take place. Then they will rehearse. All these things. Yeah, good. So now next thing is participation. Success of participatory approach is very important. The approach or of the participation of all the stakeholders, everybody who has a stake in it, is very important. See, a proper response by the state is required, but that should not ignore the local perception, needs, and the value potential of the local resources and capacities of the which are available. So, what you can use local is communities, NGOs, media. They have a lot of role in disaster response. So these should also be put into the plan, a framework made, and they should be strengthened so that they all coordinate in their response and help each other, whatever aspect is required. So, who all will participate? So, means who are the stakeholders? So, stakeholders can be the households, community based interest groups, socio-economic groups within communities, local government, public and private sector institutions operating at various levels, national, regional, local, national policy makers, international and national donors, institutions, as well as civil society organizations. So, four major stakeholders whose participation is required are the community, international national donor institutions, civil society organizations, and media. These are the four who should be there. So, what do you understand by community? Yeah, anybody? What do you understand by community? Anybody would like to say? You have all heard what is community. You would have studied also in social sciences. So, community can be any social group having some things and many things in common. So it could be, what can they be common things? Shared experience, their locality, their culture, heritage, or social interest. These could be common. Inhabitants of local communities are potential victims of any kind of disaster. So these communities will together be into disaster, maybe because they are in the local area. They are sharing the locality. These communities would be there together. So they have also the greatest potential uh, uh, amongst the who will be the victims, potential victims. This community would be, in a particular locality, everybody will get affected by floods or by earthquake or a disaster, isn't it? Or a gas leak. So, so they have the local knowledge about the hazard conditions, and also they are a store of their traditionally, because the natural hazards have been occurring there again and again. It doesn't happen for the first time, you know, although may not be, but there must be community memory. Their forefathers may be having it, so they would be having, if they may have been experienced it many years back. So they all this knowledge is available. So their response is most effective as specific local needs can be met. So there are a lot of community action examples are there, and you can see all over. So what the people have done immediately after, say, women group, how they reacted. Financial assistance from donor agencies. So they worked with government, local municipalities, NGOs, and technical professions. Now, a case of women groups, they have been there. So they have been trained also by external help, let's say. So their modus, they have been working. So the groups, they discuss with other community members the problems, their solutions, and their role in effective change. And they get experts who inform them how to do it and how to get the work done or they use the official machinery also to for their benefit. So community-based disaster response is a very important thing. So it can be used for assessment, planning, and implementation. So it is a participatory in design. So it integrates the local planning and protection into larger administrative and resource capabilities. See, one thing you should understand, that in any planning, there is not one plan. The government has a plan at national level. It is for all the states. Then each state has a plan based on and then it links it with the government, the national plan. The districts have their plan. They link it with the state plan. It is based on the policies of the state. It is not their own policies. So it flows down also. And similarly, from district, it goes down to blocks and then to villages or communities or cities, towns from district. So, and similarly, the information is flowing upwards, from the lowest level, from the village to the block to district, their needs, their requirement, their assessment, their wants. So it flows up to the national level. So it is all linked with each other. It is merged with each other. It is not different. Yes, we have brought out at the higher level, it will be policies, budgets, resources allocation. At the lowest level, it will be the families, the individuals, how they'll be, the routes they will take for evacuation, where they are, is the shelter located, for evacuating. What is the resource? If it's a flood, is there a boat available? Where it is kept? Who will be using it? Is it a motorized boat? Then where will they get the fuel? How will they keep it working? All these things. It is like a military plan. At the lowest level, there is a soldier, there is a section, a platoon, a company, a battalion, a division, national army. So all these are there. So the plan is merged with each other. So similarly, these plans are also merged vertically and horizontally with the neighboring. and their neighbor and their neighbor. So it is all in a coordinated manner. So this planning has to be, so it's not a one day event, it is a continuous process. And then it is other activities also come. And wherever the plans are there in the preparedness stage, there is always the plans are implemented by rehearsing them. So they do mock exercises and things like that. So that will cover in the preparedness planning. There will be separate but course, but here it is suffice to say. So these are integrated with the administrative and resource capability. So what should be kept in mind? First is the objectives to be achieved by involving citizens. We are talking about participatory and areas in planning process where and when citizens participate. Which citizens to include? Techniques to use in order to obtain citizen output and information that is to be provided to the citizen. Now there are techniques which have to be used. So these are specific techniques. We will come to that. Now, international national donor agencies are there worldwide. They're also into humanitarian aid. They'll provide material help. They provide financial help, economic help, and also responding, uh, like the recent earthquake in Turkey. Uh, See, organizations came from, or the response from many countries came there immediately. And so they were all prepared to go within their country. So that's why they came immediately. I think the Indian contingent was about 250 strong. So they reached within the same day, less than 24 hours, they were there from it. Similarly, other countries also, which were now civil society organizations, NGOs, they are involved into this. So actually, all the NGOs, because they are involved into with the human beings over there for their development, for their help. So if their community where they are working, they get affected by disasters, they have to help. They have to come because they are already working there. So NGOs are always were there will they may be working into health sector, let's say, but if the community where they are working are affected by floods, so they will have to at that time suspend their work and go into flood relief. Isn't it? Media. So this is an information age, and now if in fact media is a part of everything. It gives information. It is there. So mass media so can be helpful first, for warning and preparedness. Warning also, they will provide, people are listening or watching various channels, TVs, radio, print. So all this can come there also about warning. Then in the response plan, they can help each other in functioning, like informing the people about the, say, evacuation route or any steps to be taken. So media has a lot of this role. So yeah, there's a question some you want to ask. Yeah. Yes, Salim Amin. No, slides are not. It's there's some technical problem, so I'm not using the slides. I'm not able to use the slides now. Some technical problem, so I thought I will cover without it, so that we can. Uh, yeah, it is creating problem. It's not coming. So we have got very little 5 minutes left. So let us see what we can cover this unit. Now, and very important thing is techniques of participation. So uh, there you must understand what are the, so Actually, you should have a community participation. You want to have a consensus building approach. Everybody should agree to it. Bring down everybody. So have a common goal. So there are many participatory approaches. So first is the participatory rural appraisal (PRA). So um, you must read these because this is standard in all, not only in disaster management, but anywhere where people, you are doing something at the community level, at the local level, how to have their participation. So one is the participatory rural appraisal. So this emphasizes local knowledge and enable local people to do their own appraisal, analysis, and planning. So although name is PRA, but it may not be only in rural areas. It could be anywhere. It could be urban area. It could be women, men, old people, members of organization or group. So this actually is about finding out various things. So technique involved is data collection through participation. So experts are there who mainly do the analysis. So how do you collect data? Mapping, diagramming, using ground in many areas, many ways. You can do mapping on the ground. People are sitting around, they make and they have. So basically, you are collecting information, appraisal you are doing. So you have a self-aware responsibility and equity and empowerment for the people and diversity. So these are the three things which are involved in this approach. So this is a very innovative approach, and you can have many things. You know how to participate. The people's participation is there in getting the information. So their knowledge is used. Now, but it is very there could be some problematic things which can come up because you have to engage the community, and a public awareness is essential. It is not a one go thing that it immediately happens like this. You have to be involved and involve the people. So the people are not used to it. Powers are concentrated or decision making is done by officials, so they do not know how to do it. But why you want the participation is we want what the people need, not what the outsider thinks that he needs, isn't it? So what we eat here, if we bring that to all the people at your place, they may not like it. So that way, it is not a very, there's a lot of problem. Now, activating an emergency plan, which is already there, made earlier, how do you activate it? There's a trigger mechanism. So we had spoken about it earlier. So you involve an effective signal or warning mechanism, identify activities and their levels, identify sub-activities under each activity level, specify authorities for each level of activity and sub-activity. Means these are the triggers for each activity. Determining the response time for each activity, working out individual plans of each specific authority, have quick response teams for specific authority. Say medical quick response team is required, rescue team is required, floods you may require a boat team, then food distribution team, like that. Having alternative plans and contingency measures and doing preparedness. Then there are standing operating procedures. To implement the plans, you can lay down these, which is short, it is called SOP, standing operation procedures, which are at each level of activity and sub-activity. For everything, you will have a procedure. So it will be a standard one. So it is laid down. Emergency operation centers we had covered earlier. So these are now common everywhere. These are there and they are laid down. Uh, so the EOC or emergency maintains liaison with warning issuing agencies of the government, and throughout the disaster preparedness disaster period, they are active, and they ensure timely dissemination of warnings to the grassroots level. So all these things are there. Components are EOC operations room to plan, manage, execute, EOC analysis room to analyze the information received from operations rooms by GIS, statistician, data analysis at national level. We are talking. So many details would be there. Emergency information sector to collect and disseminate information related to disaster to media and others. Then EOC communications equipped with state-of-art systems, EOC reference library, function areas work cell to connect EOC with various centers of distribution for relief. Then there is a supply and management system. So it has a registration. Every shipment arriving to the area is registered, classified. All the incoming supplies are classified. Sorting. Incoming suppliers sorted out according to priority. Then inventorying, warehouse management, all these are part of SUMA. So, any questions in this? Yeah, about today. We had covered 2 units. First was on the planning, plan, and second is on communication, participation. So, I think it will be good if you can read these 2 units. In fact, now, immediately after this, find little time and go through them. So that will be better. And then tomorrow we can meet again at this time and help solving this. Saturday we will not meet. So Saturday this won't be helped. Sunday we will have, and then Monday. Okay. There's slight change in the plan. Saturday it won't be there. So okay then. If there's nothing more, so we can call it a day. Goodbye. So then we can meet you tomorrow. Okay. Bye bye.
Okay, okay, Doctor. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for today's lecture.
Okay.
My colleagues are quiet. Adamo, are you
Thank
there?
you very much, sir. Yes, I'm there, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just
Thank you.
listening till then.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
And start preparing, doing your this. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Tombe, Tombe, Tombe.